What is going on, guys? MG2005 Gundam here, and today I'm going to be delivering the bottom 5 Gunpla kits of 2019, plus 2 dishonorable mentions. Now, why am I using bottom 5 instead of the worst? Because the worst feels too strong. Most of the kits on this list are not bad by any means. They are just lackluster to even float around the middle ground between good and bad. So yeah, I'm gonna be delivering you guys the bottom 5 Gunpla kits of 2019. Same rules from the top 5 lists do apply. Grade indiscriminate, although there aren't many grades in this list. They have to be kits that I've built so that I have a more constructive opinion on them. They need to be kits that came out in 2019, so any old kits that I review will not cut the list. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. First of all, at number 5, it is going to be the SD Valkylander. Now, I know you guys may be sad about me putting the Valkylander in this list because, by all means, the transformation is good, the accessories that are included are accurate and pretty damn good. But I have to say, I hate them for using the SDBB Senshi frame. Because the SDBB Senshi frame, any issues that apply to that applies to the Valkylander. So, the arm polycaps, they do pop out of the chest whenever I try to rotate them, so that's one issue. The head will sometimes fall off, that is another issue. I will have to put this thing on the bottom list, although I know there are lots of outstanding features on the Valkylander. Unfortunately, the one thing that is bad about this thing is the BB Senshi frame, so that's why it is number 5 on the bottom list. But this is the best out of the bunch in this list, so don't misunderstand. Up at number 4, it is going to be the high-grade Silver Bullet Suppressor. Now, I know everybody has been shitting on me for not reading the instructions for the vending machine mechanic. I know. I tried it once after I read the instructions. It still is too finicky to work. The arm will not stay in the clamp, and when I tried to play multiple times, the clamp on the right arm that actually hooks into the arm starts to come loose. So whenever I'm trying to pose with the Silver Bullet Suppressor, the arm is just gonna fall right out of the clamp on the shoulder. So it ended up really low on this list. Plus it has reused parts of the Silver Bullet and the Doven Wolf in the lower body especially, so a kneeling pose is really not possible without a prop. And then the arms, although they did receive an upgrade, they have a 135 bend instead of a 90 degrees because the incoms are gone. This thing, man, is still too finicky to mess around with. Although, yes, it does look good. It does function pretty good if you exclude the vending machine mechanic. But the signature feature is the vending machine mechanic. And even though, regardless of whether or not I read the instructions, it is still too finicky to mess around with. Not the double bars, but actually the clamp itself not holding onto the arm. So it is just quicker to just straight up use your own arms to switch out the arms. So vending machine mechanic is obsolete, whether or not I read the instruction or not. Next up at number 3, it is going to be, unfortunately, the Narrative Gundam C-Packs. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Why the hell are you putting this thing on the bottom list? Hear me out. After I reviewed that thing, the Narrative Gundam C-Packs just start to fall apart. Literally. The legs will not be balanced, they just spread apart constantly. And then when I'm trying to handle the Narrative Gundam C-Packs and try to put it into a pose, the core fighter just pops off, the top body just pops off, everything just pops off. It is just a bitch to handle, let me tell you that much. And then, although I know it is very customizable, I really do like the cycle frame and the accessibility of it, because not a lot of people have the space for the Narrative Gundam A packs, and not a lot of people have the money to go to Japan to buy the Narrative Gundam B packs for the B packs and the Narrative Gundam base. So it is good in that regard, and it does look pretty good. However, the longevity of it is not that good, unfortunately. Although I really like the accessories, aside from the Dragon Rifle, I love the cycle frame, but it is just a hard bitch to handle. So that's why it is number 3 on my list. Number 2 comes at no surprise. It is going to be the high-grade Gundam Zerachiel from Gundam Build Divers Break. Now, that thing is basically just a blue Gundam Harut with new parts. Literally, because it does have all the parts to build a blue Gundam Harut. So, yeah, it is a leech, a complete leech. But I just had to include it in this list because it is somewhat a new kit with a redesigned head, chest, and front skirts. and also some add-ons for the backpack and cannons. That's why it is still viable on this list. So yeah, it is really lackluster to say the least. Although I did recommend this kit for all of you guys out there, it is just nothing really fresh, and the same issues that applies to the Haru do apply there. So the falling horns and just the weight balance and stuff, everything is just all over the place. And of course, the one thing I do really don't like is the head. It's just the chin poking under the football helmet that is while wearing. So the Zerachiel lackluster, doesn't look good. So it is number 2 on my list. Number 1 doesn't really come at any surprise at all. It is going to be the Gundam Zerachiel. Now, this thing does deserve, and absolutely deserve, the number 1 spot on the bottom list, because yeah, the large arm does not have any features at all. It's except for the extension. I can't excuse it with not coloring in the wine for the pipes. However, the hand itself, the hollow bottom, looks pretty deplorable, and then the fingers, they do not bend, which is one really bad thing, because I know something with how large hands with hollow bottoms that can actually bend. For example, the Gundam The End or the Gion, although both of their hands are larger, I know, but the Gundam Zerachiel does actually have the capability to have bendable fingers if Bandai does actually put the heart to it. So I don't care if the actual set, the actual option set, the Zerachiel arm set, has a higher price tag just because they increase the cost to make bendable fingers. I really do not mind that. There is still pretty much a lot of bad things about this thing. For example, the articulation, there's hindered by the armor, and also as the arms, they're hindered by the actual Mark III design, so they cannot bend 180. And then I tried the beam sabers out, they do not hold well. They just fall right through the hands, even the regular holding hands, and they do not peg into the leftover, like, thumbs up holding hands. So the Gundam Tertium would actually have the same issues because it is still the Zerachiel. But the Zerachiel is even worse because the signature feature doesn't work, so that's why it is number 1 on my list. So now let's move on to the dishonorable mentions. So first of all, it's going to be the P Bandai High Grade Emergency Escape Pod Primrose. Now, yeah, this thing is basically the dud in the P Bandai Advance of Zeta kind, because this thing, it doesn't really function well. The small fins fall out constantly, the piece of chest armor does fall out constantly, and when it is tedious to combine the Primrose into the Hazel Ausla because of the multiple part swapping. Now, the part swapping, I can excuse them for that, but the loose pieces, no. Just no. Whenever you plug the chest pieces onto the Hazel Ausla, the small fins, you need to really account for them, because whenever you're trying to move the cannon or just move the arms back, they will collide with the fins and they will dislodge the fins. Now, my fins have stressed because I tried to fit them in multiple times. Now, so you need to really glue them in just so you let them stay. And the piece of chest armor falls off constantly because it is just plugged on by friction. It's just plugged on by like a plus sign. It's nothing much. Like, friction is not good in these kits. Unfortunately, now I really want to put this thing in the top 5 or even just leave it around the safe zone. However, the combination is tedious, which I can somewhat forgo it, but the loose pieces, just no. That's why it is one of the dishonorable mentions on this list. At least the signature features are all functional, you know what I mean? So finally, on the dishonorable mentions list, we have the Gundam Sandrock. Now, I know what you may be thinking. It is basically what you've been thinking throughout this entire list. Why the hell are you putting this there? Now, I have to say it is sturdy, so that's why it didn't make it into the bottom 5. But the playability of this thing is just non-existent because you only get the heat shuttles and the ability to form it into the Cross Crusher, which looks weird because of the not level blades when you close the Cross Crusher. And this thing doesn't include the Uzi, so there is no ranged option. You are stuck with the heat shuttles that have interchangeable blades for it to be heated up or not. And then the articulation is not really the best. It is good on the upper body, but the lower body, the legs can only kind of at 90 from what I remember. If not just a 135, it's not that good at all. Just the limited playability, just how standard this thing is. It is just lackluster, and it is not enough to stay in the safe zone. So this rounds it off for the bottom 5 list of 2019. Now, this is all based off of subjective opinion and experience, so what I may experience on my kit may not be the same as yours. So by no means am I discouraging you guys to buy any of the kits included in this list, but based off of my personal experiences, these things just have to cut the list. It is either lackluster or non-functional. That's it. So tell me in the comments below what you guys think of the list and what you would swap out and replace for the bottom 5 Gunpla of 2019. But as always, thank you all so much for watching, and feel free to have like a friendly argument in the comments below, because I know a lot of the kids don't deserve to be on this list. But anyways, that's it for me, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.